Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest-running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasiewicz.
Welcome, everyone, to Social Chatter, episode 207, with myself, Phil Gerbyshak, and guest Juliette Stapleton. We've got a lot of fantastic topics we want to talk to you about this week. So much social media news going on. Every single week, there is always something new, always something changing. You don't have to implement every single thing that is going on, but you need to know about it because it impacts your business, but it also impacts your bottom line. It impacts your dollar. And I am excited to have this week's guest on, as I mentioned, Juliette Stapleton. But before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and bring on Phil Gerbyshak, my co-host. And also just a quick reminder for anybody who's watching, if you're watching on our Facebook Live at facebook.com/social chefs, thanks a lot for tuning in. We're also broadcasting over on YouTube, youtube.com/social chefs, as well as on LinkedIn Live on my profile right now. So if you have questions or anything, feel free to drop those into your platform of choice that you're using. We'll do our best to feature them during the show, depending on the question. But Phil, how are you doing this week?
Dude, Christian, you're on LinkedIn Live? Holy cow, man. That's fantastic. So what are you using? We're using StreamYard, which is fantastic. It goes to all those places at once.
We're using StreamYard. We're also tying into a tool called Restream.io as well that does syndication. And for those of you who don't know about syndication, you're going to learn about syndication today, because we're going to talk a little bit about IGTV Syndication. And I'm excited about this. I like what Instagram is doing with that platform. But while I set up a couple of things behind the scenes, do you want to introduce viewers to this week's guest?
Absolutely. So today we get to talk to the queen of visibility, Juliette Stapleton. She's part Bolshevik, part leprechaun, but all thought leader. She's the author and a host of her own visibility show called Show Up, Stand Out. She's been guiding thousands of students and clients from all over the world, and she has uploaded almost her entire body to the cloud. She is pretty virtual. So Ready Player One was named or was inspired in part by her, I'm thinking. Not really sure, but really excited to talk to her, because she is all about the relationship side of social, which we know that's what plays the best here on Social Chatter. That's what gets you the best results. Not some crazy automation, but really being a human. So really jacked to talk to Juliette today.
So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on. Juliette, fantastic having you on episode 207 of Social Chatter. Thanks a lot for joining us this week.
Thank you so much. First of all, I'm so honored to be on your show. I really, really love you. Secondly, 207, 2 + 7 is 9. It's now the 9th month of the year. I just love numbers. I have a woo-woo side. So it's all absolutely fantastic. And yes, thank you for a wonderful introduction. I am working on the last bit of uploading my physical body, but so far it's impossible. But
about 3% left, huh?
Maybe next year.
There you go.
So, Phil, I'm just about ready to go. Where do you want to start? By the way, we've got lots and lots and lots of stuff to talk about.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so much to talk about. But let's start with some Facebook interesting stuff. Facebook changing Messenger, rolling out new tools for it, and killing the Discovery tab, which makes sense to me. I mean, this is interesting that Facebook would do this, but it makes so much sense because, frankly, nobody goes to Messenger to discover people to talk to. Although they did also announce that Facebook dating is rolling out this week. So maybe we will go to Messenger, but not for business. I don't know. Juliette, you said you're not going to marry me before we got on the air. Has that changed now that Messenger has changed, that you can't discover me anymore? What do you think?
Well, for starters, I'm already married. And I'm polygamy.
I'm always too late.
There is the reason why I'm in Ireland, and this is just to find my other half. So now I'm done. That's done. I can go back to Estonia, where I'm from. But so with the Messenger, I actually always thought the Discovery tab was a bit pointless. People are lurkers in general. They're not really that friendly. They're not really that eager to connect to other people. on a personal level. So this is something that I encourage people to do, because it's very easy to show up on social media and treat everyone as a profile picture, and not actually validate that they're real people behind these pictures. And so to connect to someone, there's always an agenda. And, the discovery tab is crazy. And to be honest with you, sometimes you get really crazy people connecting to you, and it can just freak you out. So I can see how a lot of people would just say, no, you know what? And I'm one of them. I'm an introvert. I like my own little world privately. So I wouldn't really be that a big fan. But then, they're spending money on creating something like Discover tab or Discover tool. But I do think that it's a good idea to ditch it and maybe spend a bigger budget on integrations, or maybe having something like chat boxes. I know we already have the integration like that you can put a messenger chat box on your website and things like that. But I just think that's where that sort of connection, one-on-one connection, there's more trust in it, there's more benefit in it, and just kind of for businesses anyway, as a business owner.
Awesome. Christian, what do you think about this one, buddy?
I think this is a really good update overall for Messenger. The fact that, like the Discover tab, big deal. I mean, they're getting rid of that, but they're replacing it with something that I think is even better, which are business tools for Messenger, to include things such as, let's see, they're rolling out
the appointment integration, man, is the big one to me.
Yeah, appointment scheduling.
Yeah, that's huge.
So we've got appointment scheduling. We've also got some tools that be able to track your, almost like a CRM. So to be able to learn more about your audience through Messenger. We also have, I think, another update. I don't really care, for instance, about the Facebook dating side of things, all that sort of stuff they're doing. They're also rolling out, let me see what these other things were actually.
Can I just add one of the really good things with this new appointment booking? It's the actual ability to integrate it with an existing calendar. I really hope so, because, one thing is just to create a booking appointment, but then if it's not integratable with whatever calendar you're using, it becomes a bit dodgy. So the fact that they're doing that is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it is integrating with Acuity. It is going to integrate with some of those more popular calendar tools, which is really fantastic, right? Integrate with Google Calendar, some of that, which makes it really, really useful. So to your point, Juliette, not having to have another separate tool is great. So Christian, you were going to say some other stuff though. What else you got?
I was going to say they've got Messenger templates that are basically going to help automate the experience for people. So that's one feature. They got the appointment feature as well that you mentioned. I think overall, this is a big win for people that have been using Messenger and wanting to get more out of it. I think Messenger is a very useful feature, but again, I mean, you have conversations in Messenger, you want to get those people into Facebook. So the fact that they've got these templates to help you qualify your leads, which I think, Phil, I think you'll really appreciate. I think that is a really big win for a business. Doesn't matter what industry you're in. This works fantastic across every single industry.
Yeah, well, and as we get businesses that are more willing to let their employees branch out and get their own Facebook page, we can see more integration there, more opportunity to connect in less of a scary way, because customers are often afraid to give up too much personal information. So now they can interact with your page 24 hours on that. So it's not like you send me a message and 3 months later I can reply to that, which we see a lot of marketers do in their email, right? They just reply to the thing and it's like, dude, that's not in regards to that. You're just bringing back a conversation that I tried to kill 10 years ago. That's stupid. So this makes so much sense to me. It's a great idea. I'm really, really jacked about what Facebook is doing with this.
Yeah, I think this is a really useful feature. And speaking of that, they've got the 24-hour feature you were talking about, the ability to add message tags, for sponsored messages and so forth. So I love the fact that they're also trying to move towards a little bit of automation, because automation can be a good thing when used properly. So
yeah, automation for information, not for connection. Let's be really clear.
No, definitely. So anything you all want to add, by the way, about this whole feature, about these new Messenger business tools?
Juliette, I'll give you the last word.
I only have a wish that they improve the mobile use for business owners to be replying to these messages, because I still find that it's just so awkward. Somebody sends you a message and it takes you, it's not like a normal messenger. Create a messenger for business pages if you need to, but something that you can actually talk to people, because a lot of people don't even understand. For example, I'm using ManyChat with a lot of things that I'm doing, because yes, automation is important, especially for alerts, community alerts, things like that. And people don't realize that this is an automated message. So they would reply, and I would like to be there. I would like to reply straight away. I want this conversation to flow. And yet it doesn't go straight to me, or it just takes too many steps for me when I'm on my mobile on the go. And, we all build the life of freedom. So obviously I'm on my mobile more than in front of the screen. This is my wish for this. But I think that they're going in the right direction.
Definitely. I think this is a big update. I think that this is, again, I mean, they're features that they've kind of already announced at Facebook F8, but again, really good to see that they are finally making these updates. And again, like you mentioned a second ago, like, hey, they should have a separate messenger for a page, for example, or like for business. They do have, don't forget, WhatsApp has a business app. And I'm wondering, the direction everything is going towards integration. I think we're going to see that happen at some point where you'll end up with a separate app. So I think that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be, right. So to your point, Christian, all the back end is connecting, and pretty soon all the front end will connect, and we'll see a unified inbox, which is going to make some sense. And then eventually they'll have unified users, right? I mean, that's the goal, is identity management, folks. This is why you should go out and stake your claim now on these services, right? I mean, we've poo-pooed TikTok and some of these services before, even Snapchat, right? We've teased, but seriously, anytime that you see one of these, go and at least claim your username so that you can claim your space. Really freaking important. Whether you experiment with these or not, whether you're thinking about Messenger or not, you still should make sure that you have a custom URL, make sure that you have a good username, so people, if you decide to later on, that it makes sense. Because again, Facebook Messenger now, you can take cash via this, and it's way easier to remember, hey, send cash to Phil Gerb than it is to send cash to phil.gerbachek.593, right? So yeah, only send cash to Phil Gerb, by the way, nobody else. I'm just saying, that's the key to success.
And by the way, if you go to socialchefs.com/go/KNOWEM, what that's going to do is that's actually going to take you to a tool where you can basically manage your brand's reputation, figure out which channels you haven't claimed, and get access to those, or I don't say get access, but you can basically claim them at that point.
Awesome.
So that's a tool worth checking out.
Awesome. Great tip, Christian. So with that, let's move to another interesting move that Facebook is making, and that's hiding likes. Well, they tried this with Instagram, or at least they rolled it out. Now, they did not say how successful or not that it was, but they did it. So it's not surprising that they're going to now try it on Facebook. We're going to see how that works. Is it going to make a more social space? And of course, the better question is, how is this going to impact business? Because that's always the question. Of course, Facebook disclaims this with, if it impacts our ad revenue, we're going to put it back. Duh. They'd be stupid not to. But I don't know, Juliette, what do you think? Do you think this is a big deal, or do you think this is much ado about nothing?
For me, Facebook is a platform for connections. So, of course, I use a lot of my personal profile, and I encourage that as well, to connect to people and build my, visibility as a brand. The page as well. I think the most important thing for me from that angle is that the whole thing of, resistance of actually showing up and doing something, because people are too focused on how many likes they got or how many views they got. So for me, removing the likes on the post is good, because otherwise everybody starts focusing on this. Oh, they got 100 likes and I just got 5, and it stops people from, it just stops them from, showing up confidently and being consistent. And it's just like vanity metric that doesn't actually bring the dollars. It doesn't actually matter for us in our businesses how many likes we had, because unless they purchased something, it means nothing. So for me, I think it's a good thing, and we'll see how it pans out. But that would encourage me, that would encourage other people. For example, I just give you an example of what I'm saying. If I'm producing some sort of like crafts videos or recipe videos, I have a chance to go viral. If I am a coach who is teaching, I don't know, social media tips, I'm not very likely to go viral unless I'm going to share something that's personal, and people will connect to me on personal level. I have never seen viral videos that are just strategies. It's usually either really interesting personalities or something personal they shared, and that's how they went viral. So we need to, people need to understand that this should not matter for them to still be showing up. So in that respect, us as humans, used to comparing yourself to other people, and that kind of stops you. That's where, for me, it's a really good move.
Interesting. Christian, what do you think, man?
I think that the like count needs to go away. I think, though, that it needs to go away for the following reasons. So the problem with the like count is that it creates artificiality. There's a lot of people, a lot of influencers that try and game the system. It's very easy to quickly get your numbers up. Hey, I've got, 500 likes, for instance, on a post, or, even like 100 likes. And that's going to look much better than somebody that has single digits, or, maybe they got 10, 15, 20, that sort of thing. And the problem there, though, is that a lot of people who see this, if I'm, for instance, a business, they don't go any further than that. They're not doing the digging saying, hey, out of those 500 people, who are actually real accounts? Are they real accounts? Are these bots, for example? They also look at it, and say, okay, well, hey, they got 500. The other person only got 100. We're going to go with the person that has 500. And unfortunately, most businesses, they just don't have the time. So they have to trust the user, or the influencer in this case, to give them accurate numbers. Now, I have a solution for this. My solution is, if anybody's ever used Google Analytics, and I've talked about this quite a lot, but Google Analytics has a feature where you can go and see who is currently on your website. You can see, what kind of numbers you actually get behind the scenes. Now, if they hide the like count, it should only be visible to people who are the admins, if it's a Facebook page or if it's a Facebook profile. It eliminates, that whole, what's the word I'm looking for? It eliminates me trying to actually look better than I really am. So, this puts the numbers behind the scenes, because, hey, why does somebody seeing my content need to see how many likes it got when it's my business? I need to be the one that drives that.
See, and I think that's an interesting point, but I'm going to actually disagree with you there, buddy, because I really think it's important for social proof to see that other people like this.
Yes.
Really important. And to show just one of my friends that liked it, or if we have no friends in common that have liked it, to show just people have liked it, gives me no social proof. So that like count is important. Now, that being said, I like what LinkedIn does actually with like count on skills.
Okay, what do they do?
Well, so first, what is the like? First, how well do you know this person? What's the relationship, and how skilled are they at it? So if we think about this, right? So let's actually split out the likes. How many people were lazy people and just click like? I don't want to count them. How many people are love? How many people are sad? How many people want, and split that out, and then give me a 5 stack. You don't have to add them all up. I actually want to see the 5 stack, because what I want, for me, I'm just speaking about me here, I want more love. So I want to look for those posts that Juliette makes that 30 or more people love, because those are going to be the ones that I'm going to take the time to read as I'm scanning through my feed, because it provides me with some social proof, some social cues, and makes me say, I'm busy. I'm going to choose to read this one. And for people who aren't super discerning, that really helps them figure that out.
Okay. I think that's a great point. I mean, I think that I think the information needs to be there, but in what way? I'd love to be able to have a dashboard that we could share with, if I'm an influencer, that I could share with, for example, a business. We're taking 2 different angles here, so they could see exactly what is
absolutely. Absolutely. But I'd like to see action, right? I want to see, call to like. I want to see call per engagement. I want to see click rate. I want to see real stuff. I think the reason Facebook hasn't rolled this out, to be quite honest with you, is because they've been faking metrics for so long that they don't even have real insight. And frankly, the reason they're hiding them is because they're dipping, because that's causing advertisers to say, hold on. That person that has 127,000 likes has 7 people that liked their last post. Right. What the hell is that?
Right.
That's what I think. I don't know, Juliette, you talk about this from a relationship perspective. I mean, what are your folks? What do they say? I mean, do they get a lot of engagement, or are they saying, I don't really care?
No, well, you see, depends on, obviously, we're not talking about hundreds and thousands of likes, with the people that I encourage, but it's still visible. What you said, I agree with both of you, and sometimes I disagree with both of you in some ways. I think that it's important to see for social proof, and also just for, yes, I want to be loved. I want my posts to, I want to see how people react. I love the reactions. I love that we don't just have a like, we have actually different ways that people can react, because I can see how my content is working, in terms of creating that connection. I can see by the hearts, I can see when they send, click a like, that might not be so, as much important for them, and, what upsets them, what makes them angry. So you can sometimes polarize strategically people if you want to, and think, you can play with that in that respect. What I don't want to see that much is, 37 people liked this post. So I liked what they're bringing. They're saying, this and this and others liked this post. So if you want to, you probably will be able to click on it and then see everybody who's liked. Like, it's still available. But I like the fact that they're taking this number, because numbers can bring people down. As I said, I just know that this resistance starts with business owners and then they give up or whatever. So just talking from that point of view, I think we should have the reactions visible. And it is social proof. And, it's important to know how your content is actually affecting people on an emotional level, because for us to attract, our clients, emotional connection is people buy from people. It's still important, even for big brands. They still, the brands that put a face to their business, they do well. And we know that.
Yeah, good point. I don't know. What about you, Christian? Last words, bud.
I don't have any last words. I just want to say that this is it's a very slippery slope, because on one hand, you need to be able to see, you need that social proof, but at the same time, it also has the whole mental health aspect as well going on. People get very depressed if they don't see, enough engagement on their content. People will sometimes take the content down and repost it because, hey, I didn't get, enough likes, whatever that number was that they thought was important. So I think, again, it's a slippery slope. There's a lot that needs to be tackled here. I personally think, and again, we've got two sides of the coin. I think they should hide the like count maybe, but keep some of the other metrics, or, have a way to provide that to users, but also have some available to the public. But I don't really know what the right answer is, because I think this is a very tough topic. Yeah, sure.
Sometimes the post can be so good, I forget to like and react to it.
Please tag me on all of those posts. I've never had a post that good. I've never had a post that good that I've ever forgotten it. Nobody ever posts that good. So maybe you and I can be friends, Juliette, because I'd love to see something that good. I'm not kidding. You're
joking me. I love stories. When somebody's posting a story, long form post, I'd read this and then I just get into this and I forget to actually like. I comment sometimes like crazy on some videos. That's something I do. But sometimes when the content is very, I get engrossed in it and reading or listening, I just forget to engage. And I know a lot of people, actually, this is an interesting thing. In Ireland, people don't engage as much. They think even clicking a like button is I don't want people to know my business. This is a quote, by the way, from somebody I work with. So it depends culturally. It depends. There's other reasons. So again, the number sometimes could be different reasons why it's there or not there. And as yes, people do repost their content because they think it might be not good. And it's there's so many different buts and ifs and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Very little certainty in all this stuff. The only thing that's certain is that every day, if you want some great stuff from us, you can go to socialchefs.com/daily, get your daily dose of goodness. Stuff like Juliette just said, you'd miss that if you weren't on our mailing list or if you're not watching live. So make sure you go to socialchefs.com/daily. Christian puts this together, blood, sweat, and tears every day. It's great stuff. You can continue the conversation about Facebook removing like counts, Instagram doing this, or anything else, and stuff we don't get a chance to cover. Again, at socialchefs.com/daily for all the goodies.
So Phil, where do you want to go next? We got Facebook news kind of covered, buttoned up here.
Well, I think there's one more bit of Facebook news, and then we're going to move to Instagram. So let's move over to the last piece of Facebook news, and that is Facebook is clamping down on political ads. Just in time for the crappy political season that's coming, Facebook is going to clamp down on political ads. Now, unfortunately, this article is hosted on Forbes, so we're going to get bombarded with crappy pop-ups and things that make it impossible to read, but the article is actually pretty good. So wade through the crap, get there. Facebook is clamping down on political ads. So what does this mean? Okay. Facebook is saying, hey, you actually have to be a person to actually run a political ad, which they talked about last year, but now they're going to actually verify it, which is one more step. And I think this is really important. Juliette is not a citizen of the United States. She should not be running ads that are pro any American party. That's just not legal. And I'm not a politician. I'm just saying, right? Let's say that's not legal. Well, now, if she'd have to update her driver's license, we'd see that she doesn't live in Florida by me. We'd see then that she lives in Ireland and is going back to Estonia. That's great, right? So we'd see that. So this should clamp down on the amount of fake garbage that we see. But I really think there's another business angle to this. And let's talk about it. But I also want us to talk about that business angle so we don't forget. So I'm just going to put a pin in that. Juliette, what do you think about this?
Oh, it's so hard for me to comment on this because I'm like, I shut myself off politics. The politics, there's so much negativity, and my husband is the one who keeps an eye. So if anything serious is happening, he always will inform me. But I don't really get involved. In fact, I have to say, and I think that guys, you're in the States are bombarded with all that stuff so much more than we do, even here or in Europe, and in general. So very hard for me to comment. But I'm glad that there is more and more regulation and more restrictions in that respect when it comes to politics. And I know we're going to be talking about some other areas that needs to be more regulated. There's just too much fake information, too much hyping up and drama, adding too much drama, and that stops us thinking straight.
Awesome. Christian, what about you, buddy?
So I like the idea of having some sort of authorization process. I like this. I mean, being able to know who is running your ads. The part though that for me gets to be a little bit, I guess maybe it's confusing, more like muddying the waters, is that a lot of times people will go out and they will hire somebody, for instance, that might be able to provide the lower costs to do some development, for instance, to run some Facebook ads for someone. So at that point, I mean, do we put in additional regulations or something that's going to make this a much more strict process? Not really sure. I do like the idea though of making it where hey, who is actually running these ads, so that people actually know who it is, whether it's the company, the individual, and so on. So what do you think, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, more transparency is really important. The more transparency we have, the better off we are. So we have to be, we have to force this transparency. Again, people need to stop hiding. I would say this is true of the whole political system. The whole political system, these super PACs and other crap, not to get all political here, not for one side or the other, but just in general, right? I want to see some more grassroots stuff. I want to see that Christian Karasiewicz was the person behind that last $100 donation, not some nameless, faceless company that just has a lot of money and is acting in their own best interest. So I want to see that. I want to see more verification. And from a business perspective, again, I want to see who's behind your business. I get bombarded with ads of companies, they're relevant ads, let me add, because they watch my likes, but I have no idea who they are. I go back to their page. I see that somehow they've got only 7 people that like their page. The only thing that they post is the one ad that I got hit with. I want to know, how do these scumbags get my information? Now, it's great that it's relevant. In fact, I would say more relevant Facebook ads, more relevant Instagrams actually make me really happy. Unfortunately, it makes me broke, but it makes me happy. So I want to see that, right? I do want to see that. The challenge is the less transparent we are, the less people trust. So show me some transparency. Show me that Christian sponsored that last ad. Show me the real business behind that, and I'll be much happier. So don't be a scum.
What criteria do you think they need to use to verify this information? They're talking about things such as a federal taxpayer ID, verifiable street address, a phone number, an email address, and a business website. What do you think they should do? I mean, is there should it be hey, a social security number? Should it be a taxpayer ID? What do you think?
Either one. I think either one is fine. I just want something though that is legit, that is verified. Again, I want to see something that shows who not just the company. I want to see who the person is responsible for this ad.
Okay.
Who wrote the check? So I want to see a taxpayer ID or federal identification number. Okay. Let's just call it that. And I want to see real ID that verifies that this is indeed this person, right? So 2-factor authentication minimum to make sure this happens. And then the money should be withdrawn or placed on a credit card that person actually has access to.
Right.
Unless it's a business account, in which case I'm an agency. I get that I might run it on my business and on my client's behalf. I get that.
Yes. But I actually like what you just said there. You talked about two-factor authentication. I like the fact though that you talked about two-factor authentication from the perspective of having the credit card, for instance, match up with identifiable information. I think that makes a lot of sense versus hey, I've got two-factor authentication. I send you, I give you a number, you send me a text message, I get a code, I put it in. There's ways to get around that. So I really like your thoughts there on how that should work.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to this particular feature?
I want to actually say something. As we mentioned, I'm moving to Estonia. Estonia is a very new nation. They only became independent in 1991. And everything in Estonia is extremely transparent. So, it's impossible to have dodgy business there because everything is based on your personal code, which is your tax identification and everything. I am not joking, but even loyalty cards are replaced in some stores with your ID number. It makes it so much easier. I went in to open my bank account. It was the easiest thing because they had all my information with that ID. Now, one side is, yes, it's a bit of a big brother, right? But on the other side, it makes it so transparent. The economy is going very, very well. This is something that if this was Estonian regulation and, we would have to kind of submit this ID, that would be enough. Because that would verify who, the person is, that would be very transparent. So I agree with you that the more transparency we have, and this is not just Facebook, it's everywhere. It's in all our systems. The better off we are.
Yep. Totally agree.
So Phil, any
totally agree.
Parting thoughts you want to add on the fact that Facebook's clamping down on political ads? If I'm a business, what should I do? Because obviously maybe I don't run political ads, but is there something I should in my
Absolutely.
business?
Yeah, great question. So one, make sure that you have multiple admins on your page. Okay. That's the first thing, right? Make sure that it's your personal account. Make sure that you have another person. Make sure that if you have other people that are on there, that you know who they are. So review your admins. Know who they are. Make sure that nobody else can remove everybody from the page. Okay? So that's important. Go ahead.
By the way, to that point, you also have to keep in mind if you have other people that have the same admin role on your page, it's basically a revolving door. So, for example, if Phil and I are both admins on a page, we can both remove the other admins. So I would make sure, going back to what you just said, you have to know and trust the people that you have managing your page.
Yep.
So, keep on. So, okay.
Yeah.
So,
and then add your credit card. Okay. Make sure your credit card and make sure it's current. Make sure it's current, that it's verified. And then lastly, make sure that the address matches. Make sure the address matches and that you have that. And you have notifications set up so that if credit card comes through, that you get some sort of ping on those when the credit card is not present, because that means it's a digital transaction. Really important.
Juliette,
that's what I would do.
What do you think, Juliette? Anything you would recommend?
I'm out of my depths in terms of technicalities with ads and anything like that. So there's no comment on my behalf, but I agree.
Okay.
I agree with Phil.
I'd say also, if I'm a business, we talked about transparency. I think that the other thing we should also do, if a business, they cannot impact necessarily, they're not doing political ads or anything like that. What they should consider doing also is just being more transparent in their business. Be more transparent with your customers because that this is coming down the pipe at some point. So I think that it's a good place for you to start to be more transparent with your customers and see how that impacts things.
Absolutely. More transparency, again, always good.
So Phil, where are we going next?
All right. So last topic is IGTV, Instagram TV, which you've been talking about for a while, but this time it actually makes some sense. Christian, you alluded to this in the beginning, in the intro. We're talking about syndicating videos, which means it can go multiple places, which means perhaps, maybe not, but perhaps we may see Social Chatter coming to you soon on an IGTV channel. Pretty cool here. Syndicating those to Facebook first, naturally, makes sense, right? Because Facebook and IG are the same company. If you haven't been watching this, it's been a couple years now, but that's okay. We're going to remind you. So this is really interesting. This is really, really smart. They're tightening it up. Eventually, I expect that they're then going to allow some chat on the side so that we see this, which is what Twitter should have done 25 years ago. Juliette, what do you think about this?
As someone who doesn't actually use Instagram in general, and I tell you why, because My business is built from the topics, right? I don't have a backdrop for the visual Instagram. I actually love this idea because I'm planning to take over Instagram very soon with my move to Estonia. I love this idea because I'm a repurpose addict. I don't like doing things. I think we need to save time. We need to repurpose our content. It's great. Like this show is now streamed on 3 platforms. I love that. That just makes me, very happy to think about it. So that would make me so inspired to do more IGTV videos, knowing that, and because of their format, they're kind of like, because they're long form, they will look like more like social videos on my Facebook page as well, because I tend to go horizontal usually, and I kind of like that. I like this idea. I'm looking forward. I don't know if it's I think that they were saying that it's going to syndicate to Facebook Watch rather than your Facebook business page. So that's another channel. Then I would be interested to explore it.
Yeah, I think they're going to pop out Watch as a separate app, much like they do IGTV. We're going to see that change. I don't know. Christian, what are you thinking, buddy?
I think syndication makes a lot of sense. Here's the other thing. A lot of people who are trying desperately to use IGTV, they're not getting the traction. So by offering a syndication feature, I think it's going to be a way, think of it like a magnet. It's going to let you, or maybe a fishing lure, actually. You're going to be able to go out, share your content to other platforms where your audience is spending their time and bring them into another project you're working on. People might not know about IGTV. They might not necessarily know that you even have a presence there. So by giving you the ability to syndicate it, I think it'll help you bring in more of an audience, or at least figure out, hey, is this the right actual platform I should be spending my time on? Maybe IGTV isn't it. So I like the idea of IGTV syndication over to Facebook. Again, it's not about automation. That's the one thing we want to make sure we make clear. It's not about automation. You're not trying to automate your social media channels so you don't have to actually do the work. You want to, have it where you're going out to your channels and, you're able to reach your audience where they're at. You're not gonna have 5 cameras up and, hey, I'm running here and here and here and here and here. So I like this feature. Phil, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to add to your point, right? It's syndication, not automation. Let's be really clear. Now, that being said, for most people, you're going to need to hire someone to manage that channel's comments. Because even if you can syndicate, you're still going to get stuff that you can't respond to in real time. And frankly, this is where you get a producer to help you that can manage those channels, that can help bring that on, that can say, hey, Christian, by the way, right in your ear, hey, we got a call here on IGTV. Somebody's got a comment. Can you take this comment, right? And can you remark on it? I think that's super duper helpful. I don't think we're there yet to that point, but I think that's really, really important. And I want to say good content still will win if you aren't afraid to syndicate, if you aren't afraid to promote, if you aren't afraid to actually let people know that you're doing it. One of the most important things that we do each and every time is Christian shares the Facebook Live. I share the Facebook Live. Usually our guest shares the Facebook Live. Sometimes we set up a watch party. Our goal is to get this in front of as many people as we can, not for our egos, but because it's valuable content. We don't get paid anything for doing social chatter, or if Christian does, he's never shared any with me. So let's be clear, folks. Your goal is to create great content that's super timely and relevant, that then you're willing to share over and over again until it's no longer timely or no longer relevant, regardless of channel.
Couldn't have said it better, actually. So, Juliette, anything you want to add? Any party thoughts on IGTV syndication?
Just sort of expanding on what Phil just said, they called me the queen of visibility. Visibility is being omnipresent. And yes, I'm also not into automating, especially social media content. There's some automation you can use, which is okay because you still need to be visible. Not everyone is there when you're there live. Right. But, being able to be on multiple platforms while maintaining, obviously, the ones where your core audience is still great because you don't know how it can pan out. Maybe, you syndicate it. Maybe you're big on Instagram, you start syndicating it on Facebook and you build a new audience. As long as the content is valuable, as long as it's good and free or not, that's a different conversation because with free content, we're still building our authority. We're still building our visibility, which is an amazing thing to us. So, yeah.
So I want to thank everybody, by the way, who is joining. I see quite a few people popping up. I've got Tim Son over here. We got Katie Miller, Thanks a lot for tuning in this week. And also, Troy Sandage, thanks a lot as well for stopping by. So, Phil, I know we have other topics we wanted to discuss.
Holy cow. Lots of stuff that we wanted to discuss, folks, but none we're going to get to. I think, Christian, isn't it time we dance? Little time.
It is.
What do you think? So, Juliette, do you know the Tool Time dance?
No.
Okay, so now you put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, you put your right foot in, and you shake it all about. You do the Tool Time pokey, and you do it all about. That's what it's all about. Left foot. It's time for Tool Time now. It's time for Tool Time now. Everybody do the Tool Time dance. Tool Time, Tool Time, Tool Time, where we talk about 2 tools that you can use to grow your business here on Social Chatter. Just 2 tools, different ways that you can use to make your business even better. We recommend you test them out, try them out, see if they work for you. And if they do, fantastic, add them to your tool belt. And if they don't, well, you can always dance. So, Christian, where do you want to start? I was going to say, let's start with Storylux.
Okay, so Storylux. So basically what this tool is it's a mobile app for helping you create better quality content basically for your Instagram stories. So instead of just going native, with your Instagram, if you open, for instance, Instagram and you're on camera, for example, what Storylux basically does is it gives you templates, it gives you filters, backdrops, and so on that you can leverage in your stories to make them more stronger visual pieces of content.
Yeah. So interesting tool, though. I got to tell you real quick here. The free version gives you 1 different tool and like 6 different filters. No ability to add text, but it does make it look different, which is kind of cool. It's a photo filter, so you still will need to touch up your images in another tool, which is okay, right? But you get 1, and then it's $2.99 for unlimited. Juliette, did you get a chance to play with this at all?
I did actually. I was a bit disappointed. It wasn't available for my Android phone, but I have a backup iPhone. I loved it. I loved it because there was actually on a free. I didn't pay for it. I just went in with the free version. But I had seen these templates where you can upload a little video, and you can have another. Like say there was 2 placeholders, one for the video, and the other you could put maybe like a promotional, graphic about your new offer, and you can actually talk about it. Then save it to your phone. You don't have to post it necessarily to your Instagram because, as I mentioned, I don't even use Instagram as much, but you can save it to your phone. You can use it as a story. You can use it as a normal post as well. There's really beautiful templates as well if you're a visual person, then and you know what, the text we can add in stories inside the actual stories anyway. So maybe that's why they're not offering. I don't know, but I kind of liked it. I might get addicted to it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I would say, overall, this is, again, test out the free version, see if it actually fits with your brand. But the great thing, Juliette, you just mentioned, it's not just for Instagram stories. Yes, it gives you templates and backdrops and filters that you can use in your Instagram stories, but you can also save them for Facebook, for Pinterest, for Twitter, pretty much any of your other social media channels where you want to actually publish a different visual. And, and I'm going to talk about this because people that are using, for instance, Canva, when you use Canva, it's a great tool for putting out some quick designs. But what ends up happening a lot of times is people use the same design and then your design starts to look like everyone else's. So, for example, if you're following some Instagram stories and you're like, hey, you know what? How do I stand out? This is a fantastic way to stand out, to do just something a little different than what your competitors might be doing. If you see bigger brands and they have better quality stories, yes, they might have a designer behind the scenes designing these, but you could tap into this sort of feature and get access to, different, as I mentioned, templates and filters and backdrops that you might want to use with your business. So, Phil, anything you want to add about Storylux, $2.99 a month?
Yeah, I just want to say again, you made a really great point there, Christian. It is not about it being the best tool. Sometimes it's just being a different tool, a tool that nobody else is using. So a lot of times we cover on Social Chatter, we cover tools that you're like, hey, I've never even heard of that, which means your competitors have never heard of that, which gives you an opportunity to step ahead. So you don't want to miss this, folks. Storylux, really cool tool. Check out the free version. And then if you like some of the other filters, then go ahead and give them a shot for $3. Here's the thing, okay? We're hesitant to spend $3 on an app, and yet we'll spend $4.50 on a coffee. I can't imagine not looking good on my images. And if this is going to make me look better, help me stand out and be different than all my competition, I'm going to give it a try. And if not, then I'm going to throw it away. But for $3, it's totally worth playing.
So the second app that we have this week.
Ooh, yeah. Second app that we have is a content repurposing tool called OneUp. Schedule and automatically recycle your social media posts. Really cool tool. Have not had a chance to play with this, but it allows you to recycle your posts. Now, I'm curious, Christian, did you get a chance to play with this at all?
I did a little testing with it. It has some features that some of the other social media scheduling dashboards have. The key feature, though, to me with OneUp is that it has automatic recycling of content. And I'm not saying, hey, let's put all our content in here and just to constantly basically just barf out a whole bunch of content. What this does, and this is where it's very valuable, is you could create categories specifically for your content. It could be, for example, videos. It could be blog posts. If you're a guest on somebody's show, maybe you have a podcast. And I'm not saying you have to hey, I got all these buckets. What you can do is you can set up individual buckets, put your content in there, and set up automatic rescheduling so that it will keep the content that should be out there. It'll keep sharing it until you tell it to stop. So that to me is their main bread and butter feature that they have for social.
And I wonder, how does that work for Twitter?
For Twitter, in what sense?
Well, so here's the thing, right? Twitter says that you can't recycle the same post every month. How does it do that?
So basically, what will typically happen is these tools will have tie into an API, and they will be going in behind the scenes, looking at the content. Like, for example, if it's the same exact link or the same exact text you're using, they will then stop you from actually doing that.
Good. So it's going to make sure that you're compliant. So that's important, folks, to understand, right? You want to make sure these tools actually do hit against the API and they're not trying to go around the API, because that'll get your account banned. You want to make sure that these tools are tested out. So give it a shot. Feel free to try it. Don't reschedule every single stinking post, right? Schedule a couple, see how it works. If you love it, then keep using it. It's $4.50 a month for the cheapest plan.
Yeah. So Juliette, what do you think about OneUp? I think we had talked behind the scenes and you were telling us, backstage, hey, I think it was a tool you might have been using.
I've used OneUp pretty much since it was out there. I have a walkthrough on my show of this app. Guys, there's so many different scheduling apps, and it's not like one is completely better than the other one. It really is a matter of what you got used to and where is the advantage. I use OneUp for my content. I use OneUp for my clients' content, depending on the client type. I like scheduling. I like using it for scheduling. It uploads videos. It uploads, it shortens links. You can connect it to Instagram account. You can post directly to Instagram, which some apps don't allow you to do, and you have to do it through the app on your phone, which is like an extra step that I find very annoying. So there's loads of little things like that. In terms of repurposing, where it's really shining for me is daily. For example, I have a lot of Facebook groups, and we that's where we create all the connections. And so recurring posts in the groups, for example, something that daily themes or anything that you will not bombard people, but you're actually offering them some sort of way of connecting, communicating with you. It's fantastic, that kind of repurposing. I have there's other features that it's offering which I haven't found use for. You can pick up images on internet with their extension, and then schedule even multiple posts and create sort of like little libraries with those images. Now, honestly, I don't know why would I do it. Maybe if I was I'm just kind of thinking if I was maybe had an e-commerce site, I'd go to my category listing page and I'd pick up every product. Maybe that's something like that. But it's kind of handy if you have purpose for it. In general, this was quite a reliable tool, but you have to watch your image size, because if your image size is a little bit too big, it sometimes fails to post. That's the only kind of little hiccup that I've noticed. But they're constantly working on improving it. So over the last, I think I'm using it for about 8 months, maybe more. Or maybe less, because the time flies. Feels like forever. It's one of the tools that I use pretty much all the time.
So I want to kind of just talk about those last 2 points you mentioned. One of those was, about image size. So for example, if you're not sure what image size you should be using for your social post, one tool you can use for that is, and this is a little hack basically, you can go over to canva.com, sign up for a free account, search for the type of post you want to create, whether it's a Facebook post, an Instagram post, a LinkedIn post, and they will give you the dimensions of the artwork that you're going to be creating. And then you can now optimize your content or resize it down to the right size. Now, the other thing I also have this pulled up on screen here. And this to me is actually a feature that you do not see across hardly any social media scheduling tools. And this is actually the ability to schedule your content to Google My Business posts. So for those of you, Google My Business, this is a feature where basically you have a Google presence for your business, whether you're a brick and mortar, an online business, and so on. But basically, it's mainly geared towards people who are on like Google Maps and that sort of thing. So what this actually can do is you can schedule your content to go out to Google My Business. Here's the thing. We take photos, for example, and we're like, hey, I've got to take, like if I'm a retail business, I've got to take pictures of that merchandise and I need to get it up on my Google My Business account. But hey, I take the pictures and I get distracted. Maybe a big order comes in or customer complaints and whatnot. They stay in my phone. So what this can actually be useful to do is this can be a task that you have built into your strategy where you're constantly updating your Google My Business presence with new content versus keeping them hidden on your smartphone in the camera roll. So to me, that is a very useful feature to be able to have there. Phil, anything else you want to add about this tool?
No, I mean, it looks really powerful. It looks like there's a lot there. The fact that it does some of those things that y'all talked about is fantastic. So I'd say give it a try, folks. See what you think. If you're struggling to use a tool like a Meet Edgar or an Agora Pulse, which is pretty powerful stuff, and you want something a little less powerful or a little less expensive and no less amazing, this might be a good one to try. It's just run, Honda, Sonic, the Y. I mean, those are some fantastic brands that you can't help but say, maybe I could use this too. So give it a shot, folks. It's oneapp.io.
Definitely. So, by the way, they also have a free trial as well here at the top. So you can go in, sign up for a free trial, give it a try. Again, with any trial you sign up for, I can't encourage you enough to set aside time. So don't just be like, hey, it's the weekend. I'm going to sign up for this new free trial. Sign up, but make sure you also have time on your schedule to be able to actually spend testing every single possible feature that you possibly would want to use. Because a lot of times they give you access to the full tool and you can see what works, what doesn't work. If there's certain things that, maybe you don't really like, or maybe you find something very useful, but you have to spend the time testing this sort of stuff out. So don't just sign up for it and, get to it whenever you can. Make sure you get the full value out of it. So anything you guys want to add, by the way? I mean, we've talked about lots of updates this week, specifically Facebook Messenger business tools, hiding likes, something being tested by Facebook, as well as obviously the IGTV updates. Phil, anything you want to add?
Well, I just want to say again, test. See what you're doing here. A lot of this stuff, we're talking about this stuff even before it goes into private beta. So that means it might not even be available, but start thinking about even before you test, back that up and say, how might I use this for my business, right? Read the articles much like we did. And obviously we don't know how these are going to go down, but do think about, how might I use this for my business? Political ad, right? I'm not a political company, but if they're going to roll out the verification for political ads, might they eventually roll it out for business ads? The answer is probably. Okay, great. So how's that going to impact me? You need to think about that. Go back and listen to that section. See if that's valuable. If it's not, that's cool. Discard it, but give it some thought, because our goal, again, every single week is to add as much value as we can by bringing smart people like Juliette on the show that can add some color, especially some hot pink to the show.
So, Juliette, anything else you want to add for viewers?
I was going to add so much, and Phil just completely distracted me. And then what happens to Juliette Stapleton is that when I'm live, my head goes blank. And guys, this is what I want to say to you, that if that happens to you on a live show, that's okay as well, because we're all real people. Okay. Just remember that, I love that fact. Like, think about how can this affect my business, but also don't just try and chase every feature. Just think about, do you need this new feature? Do you need this new tool? Do you need to be, on Instagram and on Facebook? Just think about really your priorities, because it's so easy to read about new features, new tools, everything, and then just want them. This is in our nature, that we always feel like we don't have enough or we're missing out on something. But it's important. Set out time, test something. Sometimes, I'll sign up for a trial and I'll test it. And actually, when you are testing it, that whole fear of missing out is gone then. You're kind of saying, well, actually, I have this already and I don't need it. So it's worth it, So take your time and don't rush into anything, and don't be scared. A lot of people get overwhelmed and scared with this whole, everything that's happening. Just trust everything is all right.
Awesome.
So just a quick heads up for everyone. I want to thank you all for tuning in to episode 207. Fantastic having you on. Lots of great questions and commentary. Thanks to everybody who joined. We will have a blog post recap going out tomorrow with some additional topics we didn't get to, some things about some Twitter ad adjustments, as well as a few more topics. But you can get that by going to socialchefs.com/SC207. Juliette, what's the best place for people to get in touch with you if they have questions, they want to talk about content strategy and whatnot?
Yes, there's only one place that's the best to connect to me, and it's Facebook. Facebook. I'm a Facebook person. This is the best place where you can create so much different types of content, and this is what I'm all about. So send me a friend request or follow my profile, because I'm maxed out now. And yeah, if you reach out.
Fantastic. We'll make sure we also have you drop a link in the comments for this show. I want to thank everybody for watching. We will be going live again next week, 208. We're going to have Christine Gritman on. You've probably seen her on.
Back.
Yeah, she is. And she's going to be coming on at, I think we have her for 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, Phil, 9:30 a.m. next week.
I'll look right now, but keep talking. Who's Christine? Remind people who that she is.
Christine. So we've had her on before. Again, she's big on social media. She has, she's really tapped into live video, I think. But a fantastic guest that we've had on. And again, we wouldn't have brought her back if we didn't think there was value there. So we're going to have her on. We meant to actually have her on a couple months ago, and we had some scheduling, so we had to kind of shuffle around. But she will be back next Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But Juliette, I want to thank you so much for tuning in or for joining us. And for everybody who's watching, thanks a lot for tuning in. We will see you all next week. Have a great, I guess it's the weekend almost for everyone. So have a great weekend. We'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.